Let's go. Hartford High. Let's get it.
You can rock the pub. I know, you can't stop us. You can rock the pub. I know, you can't stop us.
You can't rock the pub.
Oh no.
Hailing our nation.
Yeah.
Eyewitness view. Fly high across the stations. 127,000 in the city's population. Hardball gridiron to the ball court is legendary.
Oh yeah.
Hartford, Connecticut. Population approximately 127,000 people. Today, Hartford is one of the poorest cities in the nation, with 3 out of every 10 families living below the poverty threshold. Although a very beautiful scenic place with beautiful landscapes and rich colonial history, like all impoverished areas in this country, Hartford is one of the most dangerous cities in the nation, peaking at number 7 in 2004, with more than 30% of the population in poverty. Youth sports plays a major part in lives of the youth. It teaches them leadership skills and empowers them to believe in themselves, as well as trust in others. It was in the early 90s, and Hartford High School basketball scene was about to heat up and become something legendary.
Hartford's one of the poorest cities in the country, still. And at that time, there were gangs and so on.
That's when, the drug dealers was on point, all the flashy cars. You know what I'm saying? You had the gangs, you had the Latin Kings, the Solids.
I saw life. I was so accustomed to it growing up in that neighborhood, but it was my life. However people framed it, it was what I was used to.
When I was growing up, I pretty much never left the project, so all I pretty much saw was Bellevue Square.
Growing up in Bellevue Square was everything, but it was a basketball court, so I think the basketball players had the respect of everybody else that was doing all that other stuff out there. So
a lot of hood stuff. We was out during the winter, snowball fights, hide and seek. We were doing a lot of kid stuff. We played 3 sports on the basketball court: basketball, football, and baseball as kids.
Because we all had something common with Bellevue Square and Sands. Even if it was indirectly or directly, we all had family that was in there.
A lot of activity, you got basketball, you got people doing what they do, and having fun. But one thing I can say down there, they respected me because of what I did. All the gang members, they respected me. Not saying I'm the greatest guy ever, but they just respect because they see what I was doing.
I mean, today's, you look around, you think that Hartford was the mecca of trouble, but it's not. You got great kids in the city of Hartford, and the only thing is that you got to get on the right path, get with the right individuals, and hopefully just give them the right directions.
Everybody in our neighborhood who were on the streets and stuff knew who the ballers were and knew, told us pretty much to stay away from what was going on the outside and just concentrate on basketball. So we was a tight-knit community. Everyone knew each other's family, and everyone pretty much all got along.
Being in the projects every day, they play ball from sun up to sundown. Everybody balling, just balling. 7 in the morning to about 8:30 at night, just balling.
My mom didn't really let me go to the big courts till I was older, so we played in the crates. So we used to go to the I'm sorry, Scotty's, but we used to go to Scotty's, still the milk crates.
Heat up the knife, cut out heat up the milk crates to make them basket.
Put them up on the clothesline, and we started our own NBA league that way.
One year we were the murder capital of the world when the Latin Kings and the Solids was, really getting after it.
It's a lot of gang activity. There's a lot of gang activity. There's a lot of homicides going on. There's a lot of gang activity from the north end, to the south end. A lot of lives being lost for, it was senseless.
It was like we had each other, so it was love. We didn't really notice what you didn't have or whatever.
At that time, you had the travel team. You had KDA, you had Johnny Dukes, basically Jackie, Thea, and Miss Perry. And that was basically it.
There were different groups of people, as you can imagine. So, it's about choices. A lot of the choices I made, hopefully, were the right decisions. So I hung out with a group of people that were in sports. So we played every sport imaginable in our area.
It was a little different where, we could be outside, when the street lights came on, your mother called your name, boom. but we would all play ball. We would either go to the local gym, we would set up a crate in somebody's backyard.
Oh, Will and Drive, we playing sports every day, man. We in the circle playing baseball, we playing soccer, we kicking the ball around, but we mostly playing basketball down in the bottom field.
It was normal to be around, drug dealers and just certain levels of crime, for it to be normal, which is definitely not.
Oh man, the crime in Beverly Square was crazy, man. It was absolutely insane in Beverly Square. If you wasn't from the square, you couldn't walk through there. That was just, you couldn't walk through there.
One of the worst housing projects in Hartford, between Stowe Village, Bellevue Square, Charter Oak, those type of places. You just not a good place. It's a rough place to grow up in.
Growing up in Bellevue Square was the times we grew up in it was fun. It was the projects, everybody was didn't have much, but we was happy with what we had.
We played ball. Played ball, rank, laugh, and joke. That's it. Played ball, laugh, and joke. It wasn't at the school, we was at the Y. When the Y was across from Bushmill, you know what I mean? YBL.
Yes, it was a lot of killing and shooting and all that going on, but I knew everybody in the projects. Everybody knew me, everybody knew who my brothers were, so we never felt, danger by anything.
You had some of the camps going on, but they wasn't coming into my community, into Bellevue Square to get us,
We didn't have that many outlets, but when somebody presented us with an opportunity to positive ourselves, we always seemed to took it.
And we didn't want to leave. I mean, me and my wife Dina was saying, they're gonna have to build around us because we not leaving Bellevue Square. To this day, she said, they're gonna have to build around us or whatever. We're not leaving.
Yeah, it was a pretty rough environment. I'm not gonna lie, because I think, gang activity was starting to become a little bit more prevalent.
You had the situation with 20 Love in the North End. You had the situation with Solids and Latin Kings in the South End. In that time frame, Hartford was a war zone.
When you're playing on the basketball team, there's a certain level of respect that you get from people that might be with the, with the BS a little bit, and you kind of, I don't know. For me, I was, left alone and he play hoop.
We had our own zip code down there. We didn't have to leave Bellevue Square. And if somebody was in Bellevue Square that was new, you would recognize a new face down there. You knew they weren't from down there.
To have a team from Hartford like that win it all and was undefeated and literally was like a cult following, people rushing to see their games. It was, at that time, probably, the only bright spot that was going on that year in the city.
Before that season really started, what grew us together as that team that could potentially win a championship, when you talk about the importance of an off season, we really embraced that.
In the morning, we had a coffee room. We had where you signed in and punched in, and it was the mail room. I mean, we talked about everything during those mornings, but nothing except this for about a month.
I think the championship was already determined, and I think a lot of it came because they all had that chemistry because they played the summer together.
Everybody just thought they wanted a piece, they could beat us. We used to laugh no, you're not.
I used to go to the games those games every day with the mayor, and we'd sit up there in the stands and watch them, and just man, I don't understand why I can't play. I didn't play the year before Incarnate. I know the transfer rule that if you play, when you transfer, you got to sit out a year, but I didn't play, and it seems like that rule only applied to me.
He transferred over to the pub his junior year, which was some BS stuff, because he had to sit out a year, and that's, to this day, I just think that was a bunch of foolishness, man. That was nonsense.
I'm playing with the number 1 and number 2 player in the state. It makes my job a little more easier. I always tell people, I say my jump shots my junior year turn to alley-oops my senior year.
The fall of that 92-93 season, literally almost every day we would go down to the YMCA and compete against older guys. So that entire fall after school, we would meet down at the YMCA and just play together, against older competition, which groomed us, and I think a lot of us, because of our backgrounds in the neighborhoods we grew up in, we were used to that, and that's what we look forward to, actually playing against older competition.
Oh man, we were hearing all kinds of things. Everybody's going to the league. This, it was ridiculous, man.
We all knew from, just knowing the scope and knowing how good Marcus was becoming and how tall he was getting. Hartford High was going to be real tough once Marcus was cleared to play.
They was like this. They was close. Them dudes was close. It wasn't no selfishness. It wasn't really no ego. They say the word team means together everyone achieves more. Everybody played their role. Everybody played their role.
Coming up, I wasn't really on the radar like that. Like before, I didn't even play the year before Carter, so it was like really no film on me or nothing. It was just, people seeing me play, us playing in the summertime.
I wasn't cocky about it, but I was like, we good. This is a good team. I was like, we just need to put it together. I said, if we could put it together, we got this.
The feel around the city was like it was championship or bust.
Because the year before, when I go see the Hartford High team, they was all right. They weren't really that good though. But when they knew Grant was coming, it was on fire. It was on fire.
Marcus was practicing with the team back then, and Marcus was an absolute animal. 6'10", could run, could jump. So we knew we were gonna have something special going forward.
Well, honestly, everybody knew they was gonna get it. I mean, Marcus is on the team now. He's no longer playing in Connor. He's playing with everybody he's played with since he was in elementary school. So everybody in the city knew they was gonna win it.
They were just ordinary, they didn't. It's tough when you know that you start the season as being number one. They were number one wire to wire, and never at any time did they tell people that they were number one.
What we knew that was different, it was probably the first time for us as high school players that we were together prior to the season. Like we spent a lot of hours on that basketball court prior to the season. So that was the biggest difference as we approached that season.
Kendrick Moore, a 6'2" guard forward, was a slender and shy but confident player, known by his friends and teachers as Silk, by the way he moved on the floor.
We heard about Kendrick through the basketball world, him through middle school or junior high school, you want to call it. And finally, he wanted to go to Hartford Public.
Kendrick, I've known Kendrick forever, since we were kids playing in the park and rec leagues, and coming up through Bedford Street in the square, it's like right there.
Well, I met Kendrick. Oh man, I was in the championship. I was coaching little kids, and then we had the championship against Kendrick and them. He was playing for Monty Jones, and we played. Kendrick was skinny back then. I mean, he was bony as hell, but he was destroying us, and I'm like, who is this guy?
Just by playing in the summer times, we had the basketball league down in Bellevue Square, and he played for Bedford Street, Bedrock, and they had a lot of talent over there. We all knew what they called him Pee-wee at the time, that Pee-wee was going to be a real good basketball player himself.
He's smooth. This kid is smooth, and he a humble dude. So I really liked him.
Silk actually, for the first time I ever met Silk, was playing football with the Stars. Silk was a receiver, just a long, skinny kid, really didn't get the ball thrown too much, but you could see he was an athlete, but I remember dudes saying, oh, this ain't his sport, he just out here. He a basketball player.
And I knew these guys, again, Marcus and Tyrone White and Stevie, through Parks and Rec. Kendrick was the man on campus. Everybody knew Kendrick.
Actually, I was a transfer from Catholic school into public school, and Kendrick was one of the first 3 people I met when I got to Hartford High.
We'd have intramurals on Fridays with the leagues and stuff. Crews used to set it up. I played with him, couple guys from Brook Street.
When I came, I was a sophomore. Silk was like the superstar, So everybody was, he was the man on campus, basically.
Man, we walking down the hallway, and this dude is like real cool and say, "Hey, what's up, man? What's your name?" And just like that. It was
the first time I think I met Kendrick, it probably was on the basketball court.
As a freshman, and I was assistant coach, and we tried to get him to stay with the JV program. He wasn't hearing that. Kendrick just stepped on the court when we divided the group up, go to the JV, stay with the varsity. He just stood right there. And Perakowski asked me, said, do you understand what I said? He said, I do. He said, but I didn't come out for the JV team. I came out for the varsity.
Kendrick ain't taught. Kendrick was his business. So you can see it. Like, I wish I would have picked up on that when I was in high school. Like, he was a true leader from actions, not words. So.
I got to middle school, me and Kendrick became friends, like real good friends, because he played ball, you know, and I was playing ball as well, and he was good.
Kendrick was always a bona fide player, even before Marcus got there, but it was a great help when Marcus was there.
Because I'm the youngest of 9, so like each of my siblings, especially growing up, you know, in our family dynamic, which wasn't easy. My siblings, they made sure I was okay every day.
I always call him one of the smartest people I've ever seen. I never used to see him with a bunch of books, but he was always on the honor roll. So, very bright, intelligent person.
That's one of the best people I ever met in my life, man. Just, I like him because he a no excuse guy. No excuse. If you're gonna do it, do it. If not, you're not. He don't want to hear the excuses. He's a good-hearted dude, man. I love Silk.
He another one that comes from a good upbringing. You know, he's his youngest, so he had brothers, you know, that, you know, he had Troy, he got Kelvin, he got all his brothers to push him towards that.
My siblings sacrificed for each other, but for me being the youngest, they made sure that, you know, I had the best opportunities to succeed as possible. So my siblings did a wonderful job of doing that.
He'll quietly get 30 on you on any given night.
As the season grew close, there was talk around town that Hartford Public and a new member of the team, Marcus Camby, were the team to be. Marcus had come over from Conard High School in West Hartford. He sat out a year. Speculation is they kept him out on purpose as a way to delay the dynasty.
The talk was that, you know, Marcus was leaving Conard and West Hartford to go to Hartford Public. Yeah, it was different because my first couple years of growing up, I went to Sand Elementary School, and my mom had put me in this program called Project Concern. So that's where, you know, the inner city kids would get bused out to the suburbs and go to school, and you know, my mom always wanted a better education for me and my sisters. I was taking 2 buses just to get out there every day. That commute from Hartford all the way out there to West Hartford was brutal for me. That was my first time around a lot of, you know, different races, a lot of diverse races.
Marcus had come the year earlier and the CIAC wouldn't let him play. So he stayed in our school his junior year. I think we would have won that year too. So this would have been different. There would have been 3 in a row.
Oh man. Marcus used to come up our house when he was like 13 years old, come up with, I guess, a stretch, and he used to come up our house to hang out, because our house was the hangout. And as now he would call our house a safe haven. And all the kids hang up, and he used to come up there, and I was like, wow, this kid is tall, man.
I had no idea. I had no idea that he was coming to Hartford Public High School. So he was at the high school, and, you know, so the buzz was, you know, was he gonna play or not?
And this is the first time I've seen somebody that tall. Like, you know what I mean? Like, seriously. So I'm like, he in the gym, and we all like, that didn't know him, we all like, yo, I'm going in there to play, yo, but yo.
The school was fine. They were excited. They wanted Marcus to play, and being the gentleman he was, he stayed there and got down to doing his books. He was in 2 of my classes, U.S. History and Area Studies, and great student, tremendous.
You know, I was kind of lost a little bit. I didn't really know what I was going to do in my career or with my life. And I knew I loved basketball, but the team that we had out there, you know, I didn't really play with those guys like that. Like, I would always be home and playing with my close friends, with Ty and Steve White and all those guys. And there's pictures of us when we were like 8, 9, 10, 11 on summer league teams.
Mark, it's crazy. Mark and me known each other for a while, because his mom and my mom like this. But I ain't mess with Mark like that. He ain't mess with me, because I was in the street doing stupid stuff. And, you know, he was in his basketball thing, but then we finally got together. It was all love.
Oh, I first met Marcus playing with the Untouchables the summer before. This big lanky dude, he's sloppy, but, you know, he actually has footwork and he can shoot.
You know, once I got to Hartford High, then things started to intensify more. We started playing the meaningful games, the city ball games against Weaver and Buckley, playing down in Hill House and Wilbur Cross and playing those teams like that. Just the competition level was a whole lot better.
I used to go play basketball at Kelvin D. Anderson, So, and then most of the Bellevue Square kids were there, and then I started off with Monty, then I ended up going over there, and we just kind of, you know, we got together playing basketball on different travel teams, you know, during that summer.
Then he ended up transferring to Hartford High, so he was always in the square. And then he then really turned into like a cousin. Like he was up at my aunt's house more than I was, 24/7, and just became family.
We call him Grant. Grant used to be at our house every day. So when I wake up, I see him. When I'm going to sleep, I see him. He could time a shot. He was very, very good at timing the shot. When you think you got the shot, he was sticking on the glass because his timing was very, very well.
And well, they recruited him to come over there, but that was all his family already. They was already down in the square playing ball together, so it was only right.
I always felt that if I wanted to be where I wanted to be, I had to go back into the inner city and play against better competition and play around people who I was familiar with.
Everybody wanted to see Marcus. They wanted to finally see Marcus play with people that he grew up with, because he's been playing for years in Conard, so you wasn't even getting the best Marcus.
And I just thought that was just a big time move. You know, one, for the city, you know, to have somebody that's 6'11", I mean, I just think that's great. We haven't seen a 6'11" player since, you know, that type of caliber go to another public high school, not a magnet school, not a prep school. You know, he went to a public school, which was like pretty big deal.
And we still was on pins and needles, because when we came back in that season, which was his senior year, we weren't too sure we still have him.
And out there in the suburbs, it made me realize that, you know, there's another road outside of the projects of Bellevue Squares.
Real generous dude, and I mean generous like, you know, he'd give you a conversation. Like he wasn't too big. He wasn't big at it. He was real humble. And like I said, he was like he was a staple, you know, in the community, because people look like, you know, you could just look at him and know he's out of here.
Like I said, I was playing with a lot of suburban kids, really nobody from the city. And I remember I was a freshman, and, you know, Conard was in I think it was the CCC West at the time. So they played Weaver. So Conard's big thing back then was, you know, Weaver had the team. They had Mike Williams and Hardell Christie and all those guys. And so the guys on the Conard team wrote on their arms, "No dunks." So they had no dunks on their arms. They didn't want Weaver dunking on them and stuff like that. And I was just like, this is different. This is crazy.
No other basketball player has had from Hartford has had a more stronger career than him.
Doc Hurley, a local legend who started a scholarship fund to help hundreds of students with college expenses. He was one of the most passionate voices from Hartford and its residents, respected by all. This tournament each year signaled the start of high school basketball season in Connecticut. Here is where city rivals would be matched up and go head to head. All the talk over the summer and fall would come down to those opening games. The start of the 92-93 season was no different. The Hartford Public Owls versus the crosstown rivals, the Weaver Beavers.
It's the regular year. And as the year went on, it started, in 93, it started to get a little like, what is this?
You can't rock the pub. I know, you can't stop us. You can't rock the pub. I know, you can't stop us.
You can't rock the pub. Oh no. Hailing our nation. Yeah. Eyewitness view. Flying high across the station.
First thing was, everybody was surprised to see Marcus in uniform and on the floor. And so even the opposing coach, which we all grew up together, we went to Hartford High, and we played on the same high school basketball team. He looked at me, I looked at him, and I'm like, you know, hey, this is it. And he like, I didn't think I said, well, that's it. So he's like, fine.
And I was excited, man. I remember they had some dudes on the Weaver. I can't forget those guys on the Weaver team. They actually came to Hartford High, was in there like trying to, you know, talk shit, whatever, trying to get in our head, whatever. But we just like, okay.
For me, it wasn't really different because these are guys I play with almost every day. You know, we played with the Untouchables. Shout out to Jackie Bethia.
You know, we were young. We were in Untouchables young, and, you know, like I was saying about the Waverly, we was like the youngest team to play in Waverly against those grown men. But, you know, we always wanted to play up. better competition, tougher environments.
We took that team and brought it to high school.
It was a rumor that I got back to Coach P that I told people not to try out because the team was already a wrap. I didn't say that. I may have said it, no, let me rephrase that. I may have said that to like 2 people because I was pissed off at the people anyway. So I told them, you don't even try out anyway, team already together.
My junior season, we used to walk around and we used to think that we wasn't just the best high school team in the state. We thought we was gonna be the best college team in the state too.
We had a lot of good players on the JV that were stuck on the JVs because the varsity was so loaded. I mean, you had 3 juniors on that varsity were all seniors. It was a senior dominant squad, and the three juniors were 3 starters with Courtney, Kendrick, and Mike. Those were the 3 starters, and every single dude that came off the bench was a senior.
We thought we could challenge UConn and UHart and Central Connecticut State. We would go to all of these different games. We would watch, back then they also had the Hellcats. So the Hartford Hellcats, a pro team in Hartford. So we would go to the Hartford Hellcats game and we would cheer that we could beat the Hellcats, we could beat the Hellcats.
Man, Hartford High at the Doc Hurley and Camby, Silk, that was crazy. Like you had to be there. You even had to get fresh to go to that because that was like the highlight of the city.
Yeah, well, Hartford High, we've always going to be the main event.
It was like the whole town of Hartford was there.
That was the biggest crowd we ever played in front of because it was packed. So Doc Hurley was sold out.
Silk really made us interested because, I'm from, Bedford Street and he's from street over from Brook Street. That's Kendrick Moore. So it's like, he was our guy. You get what I'm saying? So like we had to rep him also.
We knew that we had to get out there and set a statement right off the top.
The Doc Hurley to us, the first thing we don't think Doc Hurley, we think Weaver. So that was the city rival.
I'm gonna take you back to that summer where we played travel together. It was always bickering back and forth. We was always going there.
Before we even got to the gym, we're out there in the hallway, we talking, we yammering, going back and forth.
Getting off the bus, they would walk you through a player's entrance, and then the rest of the crowd is there, but they walk you through the tunnel, you come out, you see your peoples, your classmates, they playing, there they go, all that type of stuff. And when we came there, we saw Hartford Public already there, and so we sat by them.
We was talking big John. I ain't even gonna lie. It was like, yo, we about to smoke these dudes, man. Let's get these dudes, man.
Being really, really overconfident, not really understanding. We knew that this team was really good, but to the depths that they were good, no one could have known before that first game.
Some of us that knew that we probably wasn't going to go to the NBA, that was our NBA moment, you know what I mean? So we were definitely psyched about that and just wanted to win.
It was a lot of excitement in the building because it was the first game of the season for Hartford High that Marcus was playing with his boys, the team that he probably should have been playing. Let me go back. He should have been playing for Weaver, to be honest with you, because he lived on Garden Street.
Hey, I don't know which side of Garden was Hartford Public High School and which side was Weaver. But there was we had people that attended the pub that lived on Garden Street as well.
I remember the game starting, opening tap.
Weaver's defense just wasn't aligned correctly, for the jump ball. I have no idea why they thought they were going to win the tap that night, but it was impossible for them to win the tap.
And off the top, it was just like that.
Might have been a dunk.
And so I'm on the back end of the circle headed towards our basket, and I looked at Camby, he looked right back at me. We didn't have to say much.
Right off the tip.
Right off the rip.
And it was just like, I don't know why they're leaving that there, but we're about to score the first 2 points.
Off the tap, it was a dunk. I think he tapped to Kendrick to set it off, to set the season off. It was a dunk in the Civic Center against Weaver, right off the rip.
I told you how our season was gonna go.
Kendrick is known as Silk, as you know, because he's smooth with everything.
We off the rip, the first play.
But that particular game, I don't know what it was, the energy, the vibes of being at the Doc Hurley Civic Center.
Kendrick elevated even more. He turned that wrist over.
Boom, it was a dunk.
I think somebody got dunked on.
Right off the tip.
And that started our run right there. I had a front row seat.
It was in the current, man. It was like right off the tip. We was like, let's go.
Not the front sports page, the front newspaper page. Everybody knew
Listen, I got too much love for my man.
I think it was well documented in the Hartford Current. I think, I'm sorry, John Van Allen, he was my guy too, but.
It was in there. And I was, John's my boy, big up John Van Allen, my man.
I guess they have this thing in the Current where it looked like I got dunked on, but I was actually going out of bounds and Marcus was in the area and I was in the area, so I didn't get dunked on.
Oh, that's what it was?
Oh, everybody knew who got dunked on. It was on the front page, not the front sports page. It was on the front page of the Hartford Current.
When the paper came out, like even we were like, yo, dudes got the article and everything. I'm like, I'm going out of bounds.
It was shocking. Right then and there, you knew, in for trouble.
Yeah, there is going to be a problem all year long for everybody in the state.
I think he might have been going for the rebound. I don't even think he was close by, really. You know, it's just, you know, these camera and the Photoshop back then in the 90s.
Hey, that had to be you, but yeah, we caught him out there in the Current off the rim, and that was a big play.
Mr. Camby took off and scored a bucket. That's all I'm gonna say.
It might have been Desmond Connor that took that picture and put it in there, man. Seriously, shout out to Desmond Connor. Did all the dope interviews, you know, for high school.
I'm not gonna talk bad about none of my Weaver buddies.
I mean, it's all a blur right now, but it was just that first quarter, I don't remember what the score was. It was probably something like 30-5 or 6 or something. It was something crazy.
Inner city kids that you see all the time during the summer, so it's that natural tension, natural rivalry, which was a beautiful thing for us, you know, because one of the things is having that rivalry, but you also create a lifelong bonds with it as well.
The Hartford High Weaver rivalry just stands out more than any other rivalry, I think, in the state, to be honest with you.
You know, we lost that to Hurley the 2 years prior. So at that time, it was like, it's our turn.
We were psyched about playing against, you know, Hartford High, and we knew we had to be ready. We knew Mark, Kendrick, Tyrone, Courtney, especially Courtney. Me and Courtney, we used to go at it.
John's my guy, man. John's always been a good sport. Known John for a long time, but that day, he should have minded his business.
Weaver Hartford High is major, it's big, and it was a show anytime Weaver and Hartford High stepped on any floor. It was a good game. You know, if you're a basketball fan, it was a good game, but you know, if you're a Weaver Beaver, it was a bad game.
Aspirations of the city teams was always to win the championship. You wanted to win a state championship because winning a state championship made you like immortal.
The other kids looked up to them. And again, I noticed in my room, we would have current issues and the kids, they wanted to hear about crime and politics and sports. But the first thing all my classes wanted to talk about was, how did the team do last night?
And that was just the opening of what would turn out to be a magical season for us.
That particular play, the tip-off, you know, because I think, and no offense to our Hartford Public alum, you know, they're beautiful people, but they have a lot of jumbled stories, and all of them actually happen. It just didn't happen at the same time that they tried to describe it.
To attend games during this time was magical. The gyms were packed, so packed, you couldn't get a sheet of paper inside. The fan signs, which kept count of Camby's dunks, the cheerleaders were loud and proud, chanting, "You can't rock the pub, you can't rock the pub." It's all you heard. They had a rock star following, and the community loved them.
The games was crazy, just because they knew it's Hartford High. You know, it's Hartford High. With Marcus coming in there, the 7-footer, like the best player in high school, like, it was insane in there. It was insane, man, insane.
Got crazy. It really, I've never seen our school like that.
And it was a community thing. It was like a family, you know, so that was just the hottest place to be. And I remember going to those games by myself. It'd be a line, a long ass line, by myself. It was like, you know, just escape from the ghetto.
You know, kids today don't have any idea of what went on.
It was like going to a concert. You know, the gyms were packed. You know, most of the games were hard to get in. You know, a lot of the games, people couldn't get in the games. They wanted to see the show in town. And we just happened to be that show.
As the games progressed, the crowds got bigger. And then it's like, we pulling up, standing room only.
They come out like this. That's how they came out. That's how they came out, just like that.
Tell you something, that's something I cherish every moment. I wish I can just turn back the hands of time, man. I mean, I went to games with them when the JV games were even sold out, man, at one time. You know, we had a guy that painted his face, had a boot painted. I mean, he was just rocking. It was just amazing, the atmosphere of what that team brought to Hartford, man.
You had to be there probably for the freshman game to get in there, especially depending on who they was playing, like the Weavers, especially in the city.
Gotta come up the stairs, come right up. It'd be dark right there. They'd stop right there before everything. Somebody be at that door, holding that door open. Yo, it's lit, because I've been right there. You know who else be standing right there? Steve J.
The games was, they were always crowded.
They had them little royal blue. I say they was silk, but they wasn't. Them shit was like satin. It's like, you feel me? Them niggas that come out like this.
It was so packed, like you couldn't even get in there to see them. I had to listen from outside, you know? No Instagram, no Facebook Live, none of that. You just heard the game. Oh, who winning? Oh, they win. Oh, okay.
But the regular season, I mean, it was just a show. You know, everybody, you come to our gym, you couldn't find a seat. If you weren't there, I was on the JVs that year. If you weren't there by the second quarter of the JV game, as a fan, you weren't getting in the gym. It was pretty much that simple. The gym was so packed.
The staff started coming. When you see staff come, I mean, I went to the games, but staff, they went home, you know, but this was something different.
My boy K.A., love him to death. That's my boy right there. I mean, me and this dude used to literally sit on the bench during games and just rank. Like, we not paying attention. Ranking with Kevin, them like, they sitting behind, we ranking with these dudes. Then Pierre yelled, we like, huh?
The entire school was at the game. They had like 35 cheerleaders, it felt like, you know what I'm saying? It was a zoo.
It was so true. If you didn't come to the freshman game, it got to the point where if you didn't come to the freshman game, you wasn't getting into the JV and the varsity game because the games were sold out.
Students and Weaver fans, you know, jumped on the Hartford High bandwagon. There was a lot going on in the city, and like I said, they were the show at that time. So they were the ticket. Everybody wanted to see them.
Like if you didn't get there early, you couldn't even get in. Like it was like, I don't know, like if the bleachers was broken at Hartford High, but I don't know what type of crappy gym they got over there, but you know, it was always.
That's why Marcus Sr., the bleachers got broke because they packed them in there so much. People, you know, it broke the visitor side bleachers.
Guy, man, Tyrone White. That's the first time I seen somebody ankles get broke. He'd do that crossover, that Hardaway shit like this, bang, like fast, like bang, like bang. He was nice. Yeah, he'd shoot that shit like this. He was nice, man.
Oh, it's crazy. It's crazy, man. Sometimes we couldn't even really get in.
You know, when I used to be at them games, I used to be like, man, like this is what I gotta live up to, like.
So we just used to be outside, whatever, waiting. But at Hartford High, you know, we always snuck in over there.
That environment that first year is one of the craziest I've seen in Connecticut. Once again, for people who don't think Connecticut basketball is elite or whatever, you know, I would say you look at that season, every game was sold out. If you didn't get there for the JV game, you didn't get in.
And the fact of the matter is, even though we went and beating teams by 20 and 30 points, you still have that feeling that this is over with just because of that.
You can't rock the pub, the cheerleaders were there.
Every single place, I mean, every spot was filled.
It was like watching UNLV running Rebels and Michigan Fab Five. It was that kind of energy. Not those kind of players, but that kind of energy.
They were like rock stars, honestly. They was like the Chicago Bulls of high school. You know, they packed out gyms. Like, you had to get there for the JV game. So they was like true rock stars at the time. It was electric. You know, it was a lot of fast breaking, a lot of oohs and ahs, a lot of dunking, a lot of block shots. And they ran a lot of people out the gym.
Straight dribble and straight drive. We have to be better focused than that out there. You got to step off and help out a little bit. You know, you can't count on Marcus being back by the basket every time.
During the regular season was all blowouts. It was nothing. I don't think we lost the game, and you know we won everything by like 25 points plus or some crazy thing like that.
New Milford.
Wow, that was a night where, you know, we went in it as confident as we could be. New Milford had a great game plan.
That particular game was odd because we had a snowstorm.
The most nerve-wracking game that I probably ever played in my life, and as a whole during that year of the team. There was some short white guys, man. They was just like playing Hoosier basketball, meaning that they would just pass the ball around.
They said, look, we can't run with them. That was so everybody's problem was. You get down, now you got to play our game. And our game was run.
When I first walked out there, I walked in the gym, walked around, I saw New Milford warming up at the other end. I'm looking down there like, man, come on, really? These guys, man, this is going to be a blowout, man. This is going to be a blowout. No, probably by at least 25.
They wasn't a great team.
He took away the fast break. He made his team pass the ball at least 9 to 10 times. I mean, they had, after the third pass, they had layups to the basket. They would not take that shot.
They played a very cerebral game, I should say.
When I say these dudes did a minimum of 15 passes before they would even look at the rim.
They had a very good game plan, I got to admit. Coach had a nice game plan, but they were back doing it. They went down like 16 to, I want to say 16 to 8 or something, coming out the blocks, come with the back door.
They was smart. We would score, and they would just hold the ball.
It's 8 minutes a quarter. They held it for 5, maybe 6.5.
Oh man, that was a tough game. Like I said, we was used to running up and down, but they played side to side. They had to pass the ball 10 times before they took a shot. It was crazy. We wasn't in shape. Like, we was in shape, but not like that. We wasn't in shape like that.
I can remember getting the first fast break going in. The guy, he hacked. There was no layups. You know, they made sure, like, listen, y'all gonna earn every point tonight.
Marcus was being hounded, beat up, and everything. The referees wanted, they wasn't even saying nothing. I mean, he'd go up for a long pass and come right straight down, and they call offensive charge against him.
Didn't know what to cheer. We got frustrated on the sideline. Instead of us yelling the cheers, we're yelling at the players. And so we were very, 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 very frustrated.
They controlled the possession. They gave us something to think about.
Testing our patience, testing our will, and we were never able to get a grasp of that game, probably not to the last couple of minutes of the fourth quarter.
Man, it was a tough night. It was a tough night, literally. We're up to, I think only 4 people scored that game. Myself, I think it was Camby, Tyrone, and probably Keith Kendall.
So finally, like I said, one of the last plays of the game was a sideline play. They had the ball.
It was tight towards the end of the game. Some steals. Mike came back into the game, got some steals for us. Marcus made some big plays.
They actually had the ball to tie the game.
And I can remember my guy going to the corner.
And the guy took a shot. One of the best shooters on the team took a shot in the corner, like 30 seconds. If we'd hit that shot, I don't know, it would have been probably a disaster for us. We were 24-0 at that point.
They had one dude, this shooter, this three-point shooter. Holm was not missing. When he did shoot, the kid was hitting.
Before that game, he came in, I think he had like 40-something on Hillhouse or something like that. He killed out or something like that. But the guy had a good look.
And I'm late, so I'm trying to hustle to get over there, and he fakes me, and I jump, and he takes an open 3.
That ball is up in the air, and we're looking at it.
It was just like, oh God, oh God.
And a good look, and it's a good shot. It rattled in and out, man. Oh, man.
And I believe Keith Kendall ended up getting a rebound and getting fouled. He went to the line, missed the front end of the 1-and-1. They got the ball, and they're taking it out on the side.
Side out of bounds play. I want to say, I know Mike said he had his hand on the ball, tipped the ball. You know, that never changed from Mike. Mike thought he was the hero of that game, which he was. That was definitely a big play.
I think Mike tipped it.
It got up to Marcus. Marcus dunked it to go up 4, and that's how we ended up escaping out of there.
I felt that we allowed New Milford to take us out of our game.
Usually our bus rides be a little noisy and rowdy after, a basketball game, but that bus ride was really quiet.
We were quiet. We wasn't psyched. That we was mad at each other. Like, we wasn't pointing no fingers. Like, we just didn't play good.
I thought I was gonna die, man.
You got to give a lot of credit to New Milford. They came out there and played the perfect game.
Some of the cheerleaders was crying.
Yeah, they were. They thought it was over.
Double up with Camby and Silk on the lead, that's so immensely. Let's go. There's no convincing me. There's no I in the team. Oh no. 20 Dunstan, Tyrone White gave it all to make a dream. Mike Thompson, Steve White on the 6, iron out the seams. Tavar Cross on the muscle, Ron Williams in the fold, crunchy dreams. Let's go. Keith Kendall and Russell. Let's go. Rich Martinez is trouble. Definition of the hustle. The cheerleaders never fumble. In the green wave, thought they had the day, but we got the steal, had to make them pay. Who got posterized by Camby? That's a front page deal, cash paid. Mike Adams and Stevie J, Too White and Noonan. Can't forget old Mooka, can't forget old 2K, rock the pub.
Getting up that morning, we all getting ready, we all meeting up at the pub. The cheerleaders out there, we coming out, we chilling, we cooling, we got our shades on, we ready to get on the bus, we got Snoop Dogg going. It was a show, man. It was like we going to the concert. Like, it was the best time of my life, man. I swear it was. So when we get off the bus at Central, tons of fans out there. We didn't even expect this.
I saw Danbury come out in 2 lines, dunking and looking good, and I'm going, oh, geez, this is a good-looking team.
Great talent, great athletes on the court. It was a wonderful matchup, 84 East, 84 East to 84 West, Danbury to Hartford. It was like a beautiful matchup. We met at Central.
Off the top, Danbury was just everywhere.
Danbury had a lot of ballers. If you looked at that Danbury squad, they had DeQuil Osby, they had McCullough, they had E.J. Harrison. Those are 3 D1 guys. They had 3 dudes that went to high-level D1s, which is nuts, and they didn't stand a chance.
The beginning of that game was before it got to 10 was interesting because they was running with us too. They had athletes as well.
I remember the tip of the championship game. They had got the tip, and the guy went down there and dunked it. So I remember that. They have some ballers out there, man.
Okay, he kind of showboated. So, okay, woke up the sleeping giant. No, they were talking about Marcus. And after that, Marcus put on the dunk show, man.
We come out, we going back and forth early, We score, they score, they score, we score, they dunk, Camby, like we were going back and forth. It was what a championship game should look like.
Danbury was tough. I won't take nothing from him. But the second half, man, them owls lit up.
The difference maker, we had Marcus Camby and they didn't. He was the difference maker. I mean, he was throwing everything, man. He was the difference maker in that game. As going into the Danbury games, they had no answer for him.
I knew that this was going to be my last high school basketball game, so I just wanted to go out there and just, play all out.
And then all of a sudden, Marcus just turned it up. Kendrick just started falling like Tyrone. My guy just started turning it up. Marcus caught fire in that game.
Just ran right through him, like we winning that game, the championship by 15. Marcus had a dunk party. Kendrick had a good game. Tyrone was killing them.
When we had those finals against Danbury, I saw people in there from Weaver at the game, from Buckley, and they're enemies. But people from downtown, like the mayor's office and so on, state reps were there. I mean, this became a Hartford thing.
It's a great team, man. I mean, that team was just something else, man. We had good guard play, we had good forwards, Courtney and them banging the boards. Yeah, we had a good team, man.
But once again, I just think what we did in that off season, the lessons we learned during the season, going through that New Milford challenge, we valued that game so much that there was nothing anybody was going to do to take it away from us.
You know, a little something I brought for the, you know. It's a second ring. The first one is at home.
That was an amazing feeling, man. You want to cry, you happy.
You look back at that team, Kendrick and Marcus get all the attention. But Tyrone, to me, is the dude you came to watch. Tyrone was just, you know, he was kind of like Curry before Curry, which was crazy.
I sat for a second, just looked around at everybody like, look, this is what it's all about.
That feeling with my friends like Marcus, Tyrone, and like Kendrick, like we all grew up with each other. Like I grew up with them. Like, you know, I met Ant in high school, but and I met, you know, the rest of the team in high school.
People just walking up to you, it was a shocker at some points. You know, you're out somewhere and people walk up to you and, hey, aren't you so and so? And somebody, oh, how do you know? You know, it was weird.
It's good to win, but it's also good to share the wealth with your teammates, and I think that's what we did throughout the whole season, but especially in that championship game.
Just to grow up with my guys, like I got a picture of me, Ty, and Marcus. We was like 10 years old playing. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So we came up since, you know.
We're wearing our championship jackets everywhere now. I mean, it's like regular dress, like if you're wearing a sweatshirt.
It was a great feeling to win a championship with my best friend and my friends.
In most communities that are impoverished and disenfranchised, there are people in the community that will serve as great leaders, role models, and people of integrity that young men can look up to. There were two amongst many that these guys remember vividly: Jackie Bethea and Stevie J. Jernigan, AKA the Mayor. Growing up in the city and playing, you know, sports and stuff like that or whatever, you have a lot of mentors, you have a lot of people that, you know, put things in place for the youth.
But it started all in the summertime with Jackie.
Going all over, you know, probably in some areas that we probably shouldn't even been in with that city van.
Driving around everywhere with no hesitation, having people sleeping on her couch, this and that, and had no hesitation. Speaking to parents, talking to parents, just being that mentor, that positive person. Jackie is the one that probably instilled the love for basketball in me. She had me traveling. She's the first person that, you know, had me traveling, going to New York, Boston, and Canada and stuff like that to play in all these traveling teams.
Before AAU, she was like the AAU. You know, before that, she exposed us to different places.
Yeah, she's like, I don't know, auntie, mother. I don't know, she was everything to me.
Jackie's teams were always like a fusion of Weaver and Hartford High's players.
She actually brought us all together. Probably the best coach I probably played with as far as pushing somebody.
Yeah, she used to get me going.
Jackie, playing with her in the summer, me personally, she's not accepting that. Like, you had to be tough. Like, she'll say to me, K, you better not let nobody get no rebound, I'm telling you. And that's what I go in there, that's what my mind's saying. I better get this ball for Jackie, cuss me out, I gotta get this ball.
Say if I'm not playing that well, say I'm just, you know, letting Marcus get his stuff off or Tyrone, and I'm just, you know, sometimes you have to do that because we have so many ballers on our team. She'd be like, she'd come like, Stevie, she called me Stevie. Stevie, what you doing? Oh, he could guard you? Like, he could guard you, right? So I'd be like, no, Jack, I got it, don't worry about it.
She was a very positive person in my life, in a lot of people's lives, a lot of males' lives in the city of Hartford.
Jackie had something special. You know, she would always try to recruit some of the best players to come down, you know, to play at Calvin D. Anderson, you know, for her Athletes for Excellence program. And that's when I really started to see how good Marcus was, Tyrone was, and Sharp was, you know, Steve. Because, and KA too, you know, shout out KA, man, he was crazy.
Some important people that played key roles, man, and you think of Jackie, you understand what I'm saying? You know, she was Marcus' mentor. You think of Coach, you know, Coach Cal, you know, Cal from more that Silk Big Brother, you know, they came from that generation where they still had somebody that really believed in them.
You had a lot of people that was really invested into helping youth.
I met a lot of people on a journey that really, you know, took special attention to making sure that I was going to be okay. I think I had some great teachers, a bunch of great teachers growing up.
I mean, there was so many from the recreation centers, like, you know, dudes like John Kemp, you know, he would open up the Sands gym and let us get in there and just get after each other, you know, and that's how we kind of honed our skills, you know, like dudes like Kemp opening up the gym or like Monty, you know, down at Parker, or Mr. Hamilton at Parker, you know, dudes like that.
Going down around on Bedford Street, they had this place, little neighborhood center, Clay Hill Neighborhood Center, you know. Had some great mentors down there that, you know, made sure that us kids was doing positive things in the neighborhood.
Miss Perry, Stevie J, Johnny Dukes, those are some of the positive influences that we had growing up in Bellevue Square.
Matter of fact, they hung in my house all the time. It was up in Marcus. They called it the penthouse. I don't know if you heard that story, but it was on the 4th floor, and it's the penthouse. I think Marcus gave him that.
Pretty much the mayor. The mayor was like, you know, his house. We called it the penthouse because he used to live on the top floor.
The mayor of Bellevue Square, I think, came out. I think either Tiger or Rodney Kelly gave me that name.
Steve J, you know, we talk about it all the time, man. Steve was the man.
My pop's he's given a lot. He just been like every game. He's been like a million games, man. So he know who's somebody, who's not, who's good, who's not.
Stevie J was like the godfather, the mayor of the square, and he helped a lot of the kids out, a lot of the youth out, including his, you know, grow and succeed in life, and he still does that.
He was like the mayor of everything, man. His house was like the central house that you could go to no matter what. You know, we all live in poverty, so he wasn't rich, you know, but he opened up the best for his resources. He's like my stepfather, my uncle, my brother, my coach, all in one.
Stevie J had open door policy at his house. We can all go by. As many nights I fell asleep on the floor over there, just, you know, playing video games.
His family opened the doors, not just up for me, but for everybody in the community. You know, Stevie J's house was an open door policy. His house had all the juices, all the cereal.
Oh man, we had Kool-Aid boxes of cereal. That's what we do, man. I mean, you know, and you know, if you want to stay tonight, hey, don't ask me. Go in there, find a room, find whatever. Do, you know, find somewhere to sleep.
Loved it, like, because it was like having a pops away from when you leave the house. Cereal everywhere. Cereal, what up? Get a bowl, you straight. We poppin'.
You know, when I got a little bit older, you know, we started to connect and talk, but Steve has always been around. And I think at the beginning, I probably didn't like Steve. Not for anything that he did, but because he was part of Bellevue Square.
Played with Bedrock, and when they had a game, they would come walking down Martha Street, cross Main, right through the path we had, right lead up to our court in Bellevue Square. And I used to see those guys coming. I mean, they were coming like deep, boy, you know, deep, boy. And I said, yeah, here they come, here they come.
And I think Hartford High, like, he was, I'm gonna say the spokesperson of Hartford High and everybody that went there. Like, Steve probably can tell you stories from when my father and uncle played because he's been around basketball that long.
So it's like all them guys would meet up at the house, my house, in Bellevue Square. And Dina would be in the back seat, but she didn't care what they did. So I would call home, you know, and I could hear those guys in the back ranking all, in the morning, ranking all the time, just ranking.
Came to summer league time, or, you know, rain or shine, the mayor was out there sweeping the court.
You know, you'd be like, yo, there they go, there they come, you know. But again, it wasn't, Steve's an unbelievable guy, but right now you on the other team. Like, you know what I'm saying? And there's about 5, 6 teams from Bellevue Square that hate us, you know?
Making sure that summer league games went on. All of the little stuff that goes unnoticed, you know, that was pretty much what he did for us.
And you know, it's sad, I tell him sometimes, I said, man, why did y'all have to grow up, man? Why couldn't y'all have stayed 14 and 15 and 13? You know, I miss y'all dudes, man, you know?
He would gravitate to kids that he thought, you know, was maybe in a rough situation and try to pull them out.
He made me feel welcome. You know, he made me feel like I was at home, you know, with them, you know, and playing with his sons, Mooka, Nooney, and Duck, and Camby, you know. Shout out to Camby, man. He played on that second championship team.
Looking back at it from an adult, they was talking past basketball because we had Miss Cats. Like, it was like, okay, you're here, but you're not gonna always be here. You're gonna go somewhere, and and it was different. As an adult, as a kid, I didn't get it.
I mean, I do this from the heart, man. The good Lord, he sees everything. He the one pays with it. I'm not looking for pay, but
Steve J was like the catalyst, you know, because you would see like Marcus, Mike Thompson, Sharp, Mike Thompson to cut everybody hair over there and get them ready, and it was like a family environment. He always had something for us, you know. Even if he had nothing else, he always had these gallons of juice, you know what I mean? These jugs of juice, gallons. All different flavors, man.
He's like a father figure to me. You know, he's been to my house a plethora of times. You know, he's family, and I love that guy.
It definitely kept them. I ain't gonna say it saved their life, but it kept them off the streets, man. A lot of those guys, you know, they talk about that now. You know what I mean? Everybody always knock the projects in the hood, man. You know, but and there's some good things and good people that's coming out of those projects.
The way our teachers pushed us and valued us, like it was just a different era. Like they showed a sense of emotional concern, mental concern, as well as more than just, you know, putting red marks on your paper and giving you an A or B. You know, Mr. DiLoretto, you know, again, R.I.P. Mr. DiLoretto. Miss Katz was a parental figure, like a mother figure for our whole basketball team. You talking about a beautiful support system at Hartford Public High School. Like they treated me like I was their kid. That support was second to none.
Somebody who I looked after a lot was the vice principal, Frank DiLoretto. I mean, he was a guy who I talked about in the past who was, you know, very integral, not to our team, but to our whole student body at Hartford Public. You know, he had an open door policy. He always knew how to relate to the kids and talk to them. He was very supportive and active at all the basketball games that we had. And just to see how he interacted with the student body made me want to go to school and major in education. So, you know, I owe a lot of that to him for inspiring me and showing me the way.
We knew that we had Kendrick. Kendrick was the focal point for us, and we had to piece together different players to complement him.
Everyone else had graduated. It was just myself, Kendrick Moore, and Mike Thompson.
Man, if you just look at the picture, we don't look tough at all. We really look like we could be beat. We really look like that is not going to be the team at the end of the season.
Each year I approached it, I feel like I'm going to win.
It was the second season that made me realize that Kendrick was the best player the first season.
Some dudes were like, y'all gonna be trash, you know, coming out, you know, yeah, I got Silk, y'all might be okay, but y'all lost Marcus. You know, they went for a big surprise, simple as that.
And I think that big three played a big part of them going back to back like that year.
Marcus gone, we still had Trevon Claus, stood 6'4", 250 pounds. You know, I mean, he's a wide body. And he get up well, he's 6'4", and he had good skills, good athletic ability and everything.
So we didn't do as much playing as a total group in the summer and the fall. So our thing was right away making sure that we gel as quickly as possible.
I think when the rankings came out, we weren't even in the top 25 or top 10 in the state, which is crazy. That's when I knew everybody was doubting us.
We still held it down. I mean, the practices were still hard, you know, they still coached as well.
We got 10 wins under our belts, 10-0. They're like, oh, they might be a threat.
Kendrick was a focal point. He was a whole focal point, you know, outside scoring, you know, he led the fast breaks, you know, and if we had to, we put him at point guard.
The pressure was on them and they didn't fold, put it like that, because the pressure was on them.
The whole state felt like, you know, they're going to be good, but they're not going to win a championship.
Pretty much the whole bench is gone. You got Marcus gone and you got Tyrone gone, you know, of the starting five.
So that 94 year, 93, 94, I knew we were good enough to win.
So going into our senior year, we knew it was going to be tough. So we saw a couple people in the school like, yeah, we need to try out.
You know, we had all of these different parts that ended up gelling well together. I mean, you know, you don't think you're going to win a championship when your center doesn't play basketball.
Recruited my man, Big Ed, you know, Eddie Thomas, you know, who was a football player, never played organized basketball, at least at Hartford High. You know, he decided to play.
And sure enough, he did a lot of filling up the lane, made a lot of smart decisions.
The guys that were coming up, you know, obviously Camby, Steven Jernigan, you know, he played up that next year.
It really changed Hartford public culture too, because it went from an expectation that we would only be able to win with Camby, with Ty White, with Kendrick Moore, to anybody could win if we just play hard and we play together.
As soon as the bus pulled in the driveway, Hartford High bus, there's a kid from Manchester. He started yelling, "Here they come! Here they come!" He got excited, man, you know.
When we actually lost to Manchester was very memorable for me. That game, a couple of our players were having external issues, I should say. And we weren't really a cohesive team.
I'm still about that. Sorry about that.
Yeah. The one game we lost, Manchester.
They beat us. Tahari Turner had a field day. Victor Maldonado he was on fire that night. I mean, no matter what he shot, it was like he was just throwing peas in a bucket.
Different moment for me, because I put a lot of that on myself, losing that game.
We ran into Manchester at the Civic Center, who was like super prepared for us. They always prepared hard for us because we knew them well too. Tahari Turner, Sammy DeJesus. I think they had Isaac DeJesus and Henry Brown, I believe. Victor Maldonado, and he was one of the best sophomores in the state at that time.
We realized that after all we do, it won't be what's on the court that's going to stop us. It's going to be something external.
As I mentioned, I'm big on discipline and preparation. That took my focus away from basketball. And I missed one varsity basketball game in 4 years, and it was the game after Manchester.
So we learned to separate. When we come here, all that out there is done. We come here, we handle this, and then we're going to take care of whatever else out there, but the separation had to take place.
And it's not an excuse. It's not, Manchester played a good game, but I was not present at the Manchester game.
But it took an incredible game from them, almost a flawless game from them to even beat them.
Other than that, they didn't really have too much competition until the state championship game.
That state run that second year, it was a challenge. You talk about everybody trying to give us their best. We assumed that during the regular season, but it was even more of a challenge during the postseason that year. Everybody thought that Hartford High is down, let's go at them.
That nucleus of Courtney, Mike, and Kendrick, they had played so many games together. They had the ultimate confidence in each other.
We didn't have the group that played together in the summer and in the falls. Two of our players, two of our key players, Eddie Thompson, again, RIP, it's unfortunate, Ira Lynch, they were football players.
But they kept the best all-around player in the state, probably the best two-way player in the state as far as, offense and defense with Mike Thompson, and one of the best dirty work players in the state.
We were basically 9 guys. We played with 9 guys that second year. With the 3 starters, Ed, Camby, then Smoking Rich Martinez was Super 6 man, rest in peace. If it wasn't for Rich Martinez that year, we just don't win, plain and simple.
I'll never forget. Here's a guy, Richard Martinez, who had the game of his life. The game of his life. He was smiling and laughing, and everybody in the gym, when Richard got the ball, you knew it was going in.
22 points, 10 rebounds, 10 steals. And as the 6th man, he came off the bench in that game.
He was a set shot shooter. I mean, he was a fearless guy, man. That guy, he didn't care who was standing there. I'm gonna shoot it in your face.
That dude had more heart than I ever seen. Wasn't a super athlete, wasn't fast, couldn't jump, but that dude had the will to win, and you weren't losing with that dude on your team. It was that simple.
A stone cold shooter, like a Paige Stojakovic or something like that. And he fit perfectly on that team because they needed somebody to, kind of relieve the pressure of everybody focuses on those 3 guys.
And that was just one of those days where he wasn't conscious enough to know you're not supposed to be hot in this game.
Last championship run, every game was close because we were very evenly matched. We didn't have that 6'11" guy in the back to intimidate. We had a guy 6'4" that was playing like he was a 7-footer, and we were all right with that.
Played Rockville that first time, close game, very close game. We played Fitch the second round. Fitch was ahead up until probably the middle of the 3rd quarter. They were definitely ahead double digits during the game. It took a lot out of us. It took a lot out of myself, Mike, Courtney, Richard, to really make some big plays to get us back on track and really, lock that game in. Our next game was probably on the scoreboard, our easiest one. We ended up playing Cheshire. So that game, there's a story behind that one as well, which is, so we played Xavier again. They had their game plan. They tried to almost box in one, but it was like one guy on me, everybody else sloughed off. Just trying to make it difficult to see if our guys were going to respond, and they did. Get down the stretch. Richard hitting big shots. Like, we ended up pulling that one out, and then obviously going on to Danbury and facing that battle again.
During the summer and early fall, members of the Hartford Public basketball team would join summer leagues and travel teams. Most of them attribute this time together in the summer and the fall to them being so close.
The differences in between the two teams are just like night and day. It was like one is like a whole, this one belongs on the stage, this one sets up the stage.
Those guys, I wish I could have a Hartford High reunion with those guys every year. And again, as I talked about before, it's every person on that team had to sacrifice something for our success. And to be around guys that were willing to do that is second to none.
A lot of guys I played with, like Tyrone, Steve, and those guys, we played ball like yearly together. So the familiarity we had with each other, the continuity we had was like second to none. We all were like close-knit brothers, and it showed out there on the basketball court.
What got me was I'm not surprised that there are good kids in Hartford. Everyone on those teams, and I'm talking Tavar, Ant, Courtney, all of them, they were special. They were gentlemen. I mean that.
We had good scorers from all positions. And if we had, particularly at that team, we had we was backed up too deep in all positions. So if you get Tyrone out, you had another guard. You get Mike out, you got another guard to come in and do the same thing.
Basically, their team was already set up. And when I got there, I was like, I need to be in this because we all played travel together.
First time I met Sharp was when I was playing for Rawson, and he was playing for Hooker. This guy came in the gym with a dookie rope on. We were like probably 12 and 10 years old. This guy had a dookie rope on.
Yeah. We had one gold chain, gold teeth and all that. That was me. I had the buckets and all that.
I was like, this guy has a dookie rope on, and he came in the gym.
Steve White. He had went to Buckley at first, and he transferred to the Pub. But he was a guy who was consistent. He can shoot. He can score. He had a lot of flair to his game, and a lot of people respected him.
Sharp. Me and Sharp, Sharp my boy, that's my ace, called the Rat Pack. Because you put that ball in front of one of us, your cheese gone. We stole it. That was my man.
He could have stayed at Buckley and scored 30 a night. He decided to come spend that senior year on a team where he felt like he had great chemistry with people that we call brothers, and say, you know what? What's more important to me is winning and creating memories.
And there's guys like Ron Williams. He'll come in the game, beat your best guy up, like literally. Come in there, coming through the lane. Okay, here you go.
You got Tyrone White, who's a dynamic guard, who put his scoring, second, maybe even third for the benefit of our team. Tyrone's a guy that can get 20 a night, easy.
One of the most deadliest crossovers to man that I have ever seen. Tyrone broke a brother ankle during the game. The next day at practice, P gonna say, get up on him. Nope.
Tyrone White probably shot over 50% from three. Like literally, I watched him play maybe 100 games in my life. I don't remember him missing 2 threes in a row, ever.
I tell him to this day, he's my favorite point guard I ever played with. The chemistry that we had out there on the basketball court, it was nothing really never planned. I never be like, well, Ty, I'm gonna go this way, and you throw the oop that way. We just fed off each other because we've been friends for so long. I mean, he was probably one of the best guards we had in the city. that pretty much flew under the radar. He had handles. He can shoot the ball. He had court vision out there in the basketball court, but he never really got his fair shake to get a chance to play big-time ball after high school.
We all knew we had a role to play. We all went out there and had fun. You got my boy Ant Russell.
You know, Ant was my guy. So, you know, yeah, Ant Russell was my guy.
We were a brotherhood, a real brotherhood. Like, we did everything together. Like, it's teams now, what you said, coaching, I coached AAU, they don't even hang with each other after the games. They're gone. Well, we hung out. We went to the mall. We did this. We did that. Parties, everything.
I always made sure to include my teammates, and I was always unselfish with the basketball. And I knew that, you know, those guys can make plays as well.
Keith Kendall, monster, 6'6", not like 6'5", 6'6". I mean, he was just as dominant than anyone else on our team. He just didn't get that many touches. You know, he got his touches off rebounds.
Keith Kendall, he was one of those, he can dunk on you, but he wanted to just, I'm like, you too big, man, to be laying the ball in like that.
Good things happen to good people. And they were good kids, and they deserved it. It was enjoyable watching those kids get what they deserved.
Courtney Dunston, I think people didn't give Courtney, even though he started, I don't think people gave him the credit that he deserved. He was always down there with Marcus, crashing and doing his thing.
Called him the garbage collector, because he cleaned up anything that was under that rim.
Courtney developed so much from his freshman to junior year. Like, he was the player that probably nobody even paid attention to. See, and they think like, oh man, you got all your points because everybody double team Camby. No. Courtney was dynamic, and Courtney's game showed after he left high school. You know, Courtney was tough.
Tavar Kloss, I forgot about Tavar.
He was a football player. He was a D1 football player. So he'd come in and just dominate.
I don't know if you've seen the video when Tavar took this power forward center down.
He came down, got the rebound, and threw the elbows and knocked this kid to the ground, man. I was like, oh my God.
Dude kept bumping Tavar the whole game. Tavar came down on this kid, man. I felt bad for the kid. Kid just dropped, man.
Tavar was crazy.
He was a funny guy, always into it, keeping us hyping, you know, as a football player.
Mike T, ultimate leader.
Came with the New York swag, you know what I'm saying, skill, bad brother.
You know, as much as Mike could have scored, Mike said, I'm gonna take on every defensive challenge every night.
Even back then, he understood that defense wins championships. Mike was somebody in that era where everybody wanted to score 30. Mike was somebody who hung his hat on being a great defensive player and taking the other team's best player out of their comfort zone.
You know, the second year I'm even like a little more proud of, because, you know, it was easier to win when we felt like every piece we were able to win at the positions.
To me, he wasn't their best player, but he was the glue on that team.
He would tell dudes in practice, you get in the ball. If I see you open, I don't care who you are, you get in the ball and you better make the shot.
Mark, well, you already know, man. And you listen here, throw it in the rim. He going to get it. That's one thing. Mark ain't gonna let you down. If he can get to it, he gonna get it.
If Camby was on the team, and if Camby was a selfish player, Camby could just say, listen, I'm scoring 40 every night. I don't care about what y'all think.
He was punching in the bleachers back then, in the front row back then. Like, that was big.
He put his ego aside and just said, listen, I'm gonna do what it takes to win. And when you got guys like that are able to buy in, like, there's nothing, when you got that type of talent, like, if success is not there, it's on the horizon.
Agile. He was literally a guard that shot up to be 6'11". So the team was, man, unbelievable. And I would say, in my time, the best high school team I've seen in Connecticut.
Silk, in my opinion, was probably the best player that we had on that team.
To me, to this day, and I don't want to offend nobody or even come at nobody, but he was our best all-around player. A lot of people, when people talk about it, like, Marcus, I said, Marcus was great. I will never take that. But Kendrick was our best player.
Looking back at it, it was insane. You know, when you're in the moment, when you're 14 years old, you're not really thinking, man, look at, you know you're going to be a good basketball team. But I never thought we'd be a historic basketball team going back.
You know, like I always say, high school is my favorite years. When we see each other, whether it's 5 days, 5 years, it's all love, we right back to it.
Made them different is they had a top 5 player in the country who was a footer, and at the time, he wasn't a back to the basket type player. He was, give me the ball, I could go coast to coast with it, I'm gonna face you up, and that's a problem when you got a 7-footer that's willing to face you up, could put the ball on the ground, and could take off from the free throw line.
We played basketball almost every day. You know, it wasn't a day that we didn't play basketball or at least talk to each other for a quick second. Like, oh, what's up, man? What's going on? You know, where we at?
I understood that this team had everything that a team could possibly have. Tyrone White was like a dribbling machine. This was before N1. Like, Ty used to, like, people used to stand around and just watch Ty dribble.
Oh, I just seen like people drop their egos. There was no egos involved. Like, I think at the end of the day, everybody wanted to win. I seen Tyrone pass up shots like crazy to throw an alley. Like, but that's Ty today though.
We put a lot aside for the better of the good of our team. And I think that to me was the most memorable thing, because without that, we couldn't have the successful moments that we did.
Knew each other, they all played with each other on and off the court. They all was very friendly. 12-1, wasn't no animosity between them. I mean, if it was, we didn't know as coaches, but when they came to practice, they worked on their skills, they worked on different play sets and everything else, and they know exactly who to go to individuals.
You know, our team, like off the court, I don't see these guys all summer long, but those guys stayed together all summer long. They played together, they hung out together, and it all came together on that 27-0 team. Everything added up because they stuck together as friends over the summer.
We didn't have any like specialties like when it came to defense, but we knew each other's spots. We knew how to pick up each other players. Somebody doing the pick and roll, we just knew each other game.
From, you know, being in the projects, and this is what they wanted, for everybody to be on one team. And that's what they got.
Playing all these games and these leagues together, like, you form a brotherhood. So I think that's what it is for me. You know, like I see it, like if I see him right now, I ain't seen him in 30 years. This is like yesterday.
Oh, for us, we didn't skip a beat. It wasn't like we were forcing ourselves to be together. We just, by the way we live, we're together all the time. And
it was making sure that people got a chance to see that Ant Russell could play basketball. You know, Kevin Lazarus, like these guys that didn't get a lot of time, like they're basketball players as well. You know, and really understanding what that looks like as a team, like, because when we're at practice, we're going at it.
We had fun. Just, you know, everybody got along. Ron was a comedian too in high school, doing his thing on and off the court.
People, you know, talk about Marcus and we'll talk about the Hartford High, stuff like that or whatever, but Kendrick was the one that was the other. He was the Scottie Pippen. You had, you know, he was a Scottie Pippen at Hartford High, but you also had Courtney. Courtney Dustin was a baller. He was the other one that was the glue. He balled, he ran the floor, he shot J's, he played defense. I mean, they had a whole little squad. But I mean, like I said, those glue players that I thought was the glue for them winning their chips or even making a little run was Kendrick and Courtney.
And you still had other D1 players on the team. So now when he actually got his opportunity to play with his boys, yeah, you seen the chemistry of growing up in Bellevue Square, and it was at Hartford High.
The difference between Hartford High and Weaver, like them dudes played with each other all the time. They had they had like a real strong bond. Not saying that we didn't, but we would really only be around each other during basketball season.
Yep, Stan Perikowski and Steve Waterman were the coaches.
Perikowski, he was a great coach, man. He was also my calculus teacher, so so I saw him, and my homeroom teacher, ironically.
I believe they did a good job. Waterman we knew from a long time.
To tell the truth, I think they knew, because they're adults, what they had. So it's like they really was talking kind of past basketball, like how you carry yourself in the hallway, especially me. I'm still easy motherfucker.
It was a tough job for him with all his talent that we had coming into the season, you know, with Silk and Ty and myself, Courtney, and all the guys that we had. So from him just managing that from a coach's aspect and making sure that we were all in the same accord and, you know, we all played unselfish basketball and made sure everybody was involved. I mean, that was pretty much like his key point.
Coach Waterman was from the square, so I was cool with Waterman.
Coach Waterman, you know, he's an uncle of mine and, you know, he's family. So, you know, he just was mild-mannered temperament. But if you messed up, he really got on you. So we all appreciated Walt.
Waterman was like night and day between his JV coaching and his varsity coaching. When he was the head JV coach, he's a screamer, he's a yeller, he'll get in your face, you know, he looked angry. On the varsity, he played a different role as a coach. He played that father figure.
Great coach. I love his demeanor. Walt's so smooth, man. I love Waterman, man. I could never say anything negative about that guy.
Guy was a deadly shooter.
I remember growing up, they used to have this paper called the Northern Agents. I remember always reading that in over 40 league at the time. I used to always see Walt's name in there scoring big buckets.
You know, Walt let me do whatever. He just let go out and ball. You know what I'm saying? If I got a little out of control, he'll slow me down, but he let me do my thing. P, on the other hand, he was a little different.
My God, maybe that it rubbed off from Stan Perakowski being a low-key kind of guy, or Stevie Waterman, the assistant coach, or their parents, or all of them, the mentors, you know, Stevie J and all of that. But they came into the school and they didn't have big heads, and they could have.
Perakowski, we had a love-hate relationship. One day we'd be cool, the next day, he couldn't stand me. I got suspended literally the first game of the season at the Doc Hurley.
Perakowski was more of a prior year before that year. My junior, he was more of a run the plays type coach. Steve was we're more athletic than him, we're more physical than him. Let's just run, let's just do our UNLV thing.
We had so many scores and good players on our team. He didn't want me to do what I had to do, like ball like I wanted to ball. Right. And I won't say he held me back, but I couldn't do what I had to do because we had superstars on our team. I was coming into a team that already had stars.
I think that one of the legacies and part of it is that they left a very good impression of what can be accomplished once you play together.
I guess it inspired a lot of kids to go on to want to play, but to come out of the hood and seeing that Marcus could go on and make it, you know, gave them a chance, feeling that they can go on and do some good things as well, you know, since they all moved on. I ain't see nothing like that.
They're getting serious consideration to be in the Hartford Public High School Hall of Fame. So that's their legacy.
I don't think people understood how much of a team we were. I think what people misunderstand is they see talent and they think it's automatically going to win.
Great legacy. I know it was pressure when we came in '94 to live up to some of that stuff that they had, and what they accomplished, that can't be taken away, man.
It was great to be a part of it with my brothers. You know, Ty, Steve, Mike, and all those guys. Like I said, we played together all the time, so it was only cultivating that we went out on top.
Like when we won the championship, we won it for the city. You know, it wasn't about Weaver, it wasn't about Buckley, Prince. We won it for the city, we won it for everybody.
The city was treating us like celebrities, which was crazy. You go around anywhere you go, like you get recognized, you know, oh yeah, you play for Hartford High, this and that, you know. So even like me being on the JV back then, they knew, you know, who the JV player was. Because like I said, we had fans in our stands in JV games, so they would know who we were.
I mean, them dudes are like, they're gonna be remembered forever. You know, like the love they have for each other, the unity they have for each other. Like, I mean, it's something that's gonna last forever.
Oh, they clearly one of the best teams that came out the city, came out the state, you know.
To go undefeated, which they did the first year, it's an unbelievable, incredible feat, but you had Marcus Camby. But that to go the second season, 23-1, I think they went the second season. Even more impressive to me.
I definitely would say that they're the greatest Hartford High School basketball team ever.
That first team was expected to be good. They were expected to nominate. They were expected to be in contention for the state title. Second team, not so much. We had to grind it out that season.
This was a cool time. This was really an enjoyable time. I'm glad I was in that building during that time. I'm glad I met these kids, tremendous kids. And as a father of 3 kids, any one of them could be my son.
Coming together, making the necessary sacrifices, putting everything else aside, the distractions aside for one common goal. And with the level of talent we had at that time, inner city kids, where you got everybody's worried about themselves, the egos, etc. For us to be able to do that, it was almost like the blueprint.
That was really a shining moment for all of us. And like I said, I'm pretty sure, it was a positive note for a lot of kids because all of our games were extremely crowded. We always had a packed house.
City turned around as a sports, as of sports, it turned around big time due to us winning the championship.
Everybody gonna try to do it, man. Even the names that's associated with that legacy, man. You got Camby, you got Silk, 2 of the best to ever do it.
Silk playing for Missouri, you get what I'm saying? Like to see somebody, from the same neighborhood playing in college. You see what Marcus did. He put Coach Cal on. I say he put Coach Cal on. Make sure you get that.
I talk to Stevie J all the time. He texts me all the time. He's like, Mark, you was the college basketball player of the year. I'm like, that's crazy. Coming out of Bellevue Square, and I gotta give a lot of credit to the people before me, like Mike Adams, Marlon Starling, all those guys who are from my project who I was able to look up to and see make it.
There's nothing that you can say. What was their final record? They lost, 1 game in 2 years? Winners. It hurts me to say this, but they are probably the best team in the city of Hartford has ever seen.
I'm a history guy. I love history. This is tremendous. I think you're doing a service to all the kids in the schools in Hartford, all the public schools.
And as many talented players as we had on that team, for us to be able to gel as well as we did, make the necessary sacrifices to win, it was unmatched.
A lot of people always ask me if I'm the best player to ever come out of Connecticut, and I'd be like, no. My favorite player growing up was a guy named James Scotty Coleman. I don't know if you know him, but he was like my Jordan.
We've had a good run, but Hartford High really solidified them as probably one of the greatest high school teams in the state.
Back-to-back chips. That's something for other people to strive for, man, to try to get that. A lot of people get 1, shout out to them, but back-to-back, that puts you on a different level.
Back then, double L, to win back-to-back championships in double L, that was unheard of.
I remember Bellevue Square Day, they had honored us, during Bellevue Square Day, put us up on the stage. They brought back former players that was on the 1962 championship team. So I remember that vividly, and just, us being the core of our team, being from Bellevue Square was pretty much what it's all about.
I was proud to be from Hartford, to say that they was from Hartford too, even though we were rivals, but it's a lot of love because we all come from the same neighborhood.
The record, the 27-0, it was just a fruit of the labor, but it really wasn't the meat and the substance of what was going on behind the scenes, which nobody really has a clue of unless you were there.